Alright, Chapter 3, Gyros. Non-resident training course, September 1998, Navy Electricity Electronic Training Series, Module 15, Principles, Synchros, Servos, Gyros, Navy Trial 14817. Distribution statement, approved for public release, distribution unlimited. Chapter 3, Gyros. Learning objective. Upon completion of the chapter, you should be able to describe the character of the gyroscope with the latest two basic properties of the gyroscope, explain them. Describe the components universally mounted with the gyro. Describe the fact with the determine the rigidity of the gyro. List for the active determine the direction of the process. Precision of the gyro. Explain the right hand rule of the gyro. Precision. Describe the degree of freedom and apply with the gyros. Explain the effect of the apparent precision, apparent rotation. Explain the purpose of the erection system. Describe the use of the gyros with only one degree of the freedom. Explain the purpose of the accelerator explain the principle of the accelerator meter operators. Explain the need for the pulse counting accelerator meter with the gyros. The word gyroscope was first coined with the first scientific Leon Falk. The 1852 derived the Greek word gyro, meaning the revolution or scopian, meaning view. Gyroscope is commonly used with the gyro as existing the same with the first electron. We spoke of the spin over the axis. Electron spin show all of the character for the gyro. So the Earth when the spin is about with the polar axis with the bow with the 1,000 miles per hour with the equator of the Earth rotation with the axis provided with the stabilizing effect with the North Pole pointing about the 1 degree with the polars of the North Star. As rapid the spinning the object with the top of the wheel with the aeroplane with the propeller with the spinning with the rapid projectile with the fundamental of the gyroscope with the strictly speaking however the gyroscope with the mechanical device contained with the spinning with the universally mounted with this mount with the can assume with any with the position is with their figure with the 3-1 show with the module of the gyro. With this you can see how the heavy wheel of the rotor is mounted with the spin axis is free with the turn in any direction the wheel spin about the axis X and can turn about the axis Y and can turn about the axis Z with the mechanical arrangement of the spinning wheel that can also assume any position of the space. Alright, this shows your gyro model universal mounted. Basic property of the gyroscope. The gyroscope, they have the basic two property, the rigidity, the precision of the property of the the rigidity with the axis, rotation, spin, act with the gyro wheel tends to remain with the fix for the direction with the speed with the don't force. Apply the two fix for the precision of the axis, rotation, the tends to determine the right angle of the direction of the applied force of the ideal, maintain the fixed direction in the space. Simple to illustrate with the winning of the objective and spinning with rapidly with the takes the keep of the axis pointed away in the same direction. Toward top of the good example with the long of the top is spinning fast, stay balance with the on point with the couple of the gyro action, spinning top of the resist with the tending with the gravity chain with the direction axis. You can think about many more examples. The bicycle is either balanced on a high speed when then when it is either barely moving at high speed, but the bicycle wheels have the axis. The driver tends to keep the axis or axles parallel to the ground. Note it's easy to move the gyro along as you keep the axis pointed with the same direction of the gyro. Resist those only four for the tendon chain with the direction of the axis. And the bicycle will send to the axis for the rotation of the wheels. The axis with the horizontal with the wheels will resist any force with the tendon tilt with the turn in the right left. You can obtain with the gyroscope you can do some of the intricate experiment with it in the higher gyros top of the axis for the vertical with the shown figure 3-2 with the start with the spinning with the long with the string fast. It will stay balanced with them. You can below balance the only string with the on point with the figure with the axis will stay vertically as the long as top of the spring fast as mentioned before. The ability with the gyro is to keep the axis fixed within the space with the rigidity. Alright, this is the gyroscope top. Precision. Now that if you know the gyro top of the turn with the axis horizontal, start with the spinning at the end bound with the one end with the pivot. If you want top of the axis spinning stays horizontal with resisting tendency with the gravity chain with the direction. Although the gyro resists this force with the gravity to apply with it, gyro will respond to the force of the gyro respond with the moving the axis with the right angle with the applied force. Show with the gravity with the gyro top of the axis horizontal. Note for the axis will tilt directional 90 degrees away with applied force of the precision. The figure 3-4 for another view of the gyroscope with the so far with the still bound with the pivot, the gravity with the pull down on the gyro rotor turning in the direction shown in the air over the near and the fraction of the move of the left of the rotor were tending with the opposite direction frame with the beyond with the movement over the right. Note that each of these example direction of the movement will display for the applied force for the gravity 90 degree with the axis stay with the horizontal with the gyroscope respond with the force with the gravity rotating around with the pivot. Okay, this shows the direction of the movement, the gravity of the directional force. Gyro action summarized with the file with the spinning with the gyro template to keep the axis pointing with the same direction. This is called the rigidity. With the apply with the force, with the heading with the train with the direction with the spin act with the axis will move the right with the angle of the direction. The applied force, the direction of the precision will be 90 degrees clockwise from the applied force of the rotor spinning clockwise when viewed from the free end of the rotor axis of the rotor spinning counterclockwise. Precision will be 90 degrees counterclockwise. If the axis of the horizontal, you will try to tilt the axis will turn. The axis is horizontal. You can try to turn the axis will tilt. The second character of the gyro is called the precision. Because the precision will control the direction of the spinning axis point enables us to aim at the spin axis we will want to point. Without precision, rigidity of the gyro would be useless. Alright, basic gyro elements. Alright, basic gyro elements. The gyro shown in Figure 3.5 of the basic universal amount of the gyro, sometimes called the free gyro, with the component of the rotor with the inner gimbal, outer gimbal, the basis support. The gimbals are all device permanent. The rotor with the tune with the position, the retain with the position with the support tips, and with the reposition. Note the Figure 3.5 of the support with maybe moved about all axes of the report position may be being disturbed. Alright, well, Z-axis torque servo the rotor with the inner gimbal, outer gimbal, spin axis, tilt positions, Y-axis support base. As you know, the gravity of the force along with the parallel line with a particular band of the plate with the resultant gravital force of the body surface of the gyro will equivalent some of these separate force the point of the resultant force of the ply with the center of the gravity to have the base of the balanced gyro. The center of the gravity must be located at the intersection of the three axes of the gyro. Rigidity. The gyroscope of the spinning with the eye with the tendency to keep the spinning with the spin with the axis with the rigid point with it in the fixed direction of the space. What do you mean with the fixed direction? With the space, the fixed direction with the earth made by no means fixed. In space, the cover of the earth turns at once with the axis every 24 hours. That makes a complete revolution around the sun every year. With the sun itself moving through the space, taking the earth and the other planets into the what has become of the motion expression in the fixed direction in space. With the explanation from the theoretical and particular purpose of the we can say with the line with the earth with the distance star with the fixed direction space with the spinning axis spinning gyro point with the distance star with the will remain with the point with the star as the earth turns. Gyro rigid the strength of the width of the gyro resistance external force the wood tail the rotor spin. Active the three factors determine the gyro rigidity the y over the rotor with the distribution the type distribution wave of the rotor speed of the gyro. Can be considered the enclosed with the mechanical system of the energy. The system is equal to the input of the energy, with the hint of the energy send necessary to spin with the gyro rotor contained with the rotor sync angular with the motor of the function of the rotor weight with the speed of the rotor rotation heavier the gyro rotor the larger the torque necessary to spin with the greater angular momentum of the rotor will have the two rotors identical to shape of the different ways spinning of the same velocity. The heavier of the two will be more rigid in the spinning axis, the greater angular moment. Now let's look at the effect of the wave of the distribution rotor with the gyro with the consider the three rotors of the same wave of the figure 3, 6 with the view A with the B and C with the diameter of the one rotor, half the diameter of the other two with the wind, C with the end of the rotor, same with the speed. But we find that the rotors is greater diameter, more rigid with the one with the small diameter. Next, we find that we can make these rotors equally rigid by causing the rotor the smaller diameter spin and path of the larger rotor rigid. Rigidity depends on the speed of the distribution and weight of the wave of the large rotor being farther away from the axis spin called the more rigid. The effect of the more than pronounced shape of the rotor shown in figure C. Figure 3-6 shifting of the much weight of the possible outer rim of the rotor increase with the rigidity of the even further. 3-6A show the gyro rotors equal weight with the unequal diameters. Gyros rotors with equal weight unequal diameters. See gyro rotors with equal weight unequal diameters. All right, precision. To provide the useful information for the gyro spin axis that must be related, same for reference with the usually with the earth surface is done by the secondary fundamental property of the gyro precision with the same gyro process unit and spin axis pointing with the desired direction. So far, with the covered with this precision very general terminal of the following paragraphs gyro action in more detail. We can show precision by U with the model of the 3 of the view A and view B with the gyro wheel mounted and free with the spinning axis point with the direction here with the wheel rotate with the flat loop with the call with the gyroscope K for the inner gimbal with the gyro K for the pivot with the gimbal ring outer gimbal. And the gyro can spin with the Z-axis of the gimbal ring in itself with the terms its pivot that can connect to the fork permit for the gyro to tilt from the side to side from its axis. Alright, gyro action. Show that the XY is X, Y, and Z axis A. Gyro case inner gimbal, gyro wheel, gyro outer gimbal. X, Y, Z axis force applied precision. Regardless of the fork plate for the spinning gyro wheel with the free eye with the given plane with the skull with the free gyroscope at the top of the mounting. To show the effect with the precision must push down with the gimbal ring with the point A with the near end with the Z axis. C view A with the figure 3-7 the wheel might accept Expect ring to tilt around the YY axis instead of the gyro K for the tilt ZZ axis. You can see effect with the precision view B. Here's a rule that applies to the spinning gyro. The gyro will always process at right angle with the direction of the applied force. Look with the view A with the wheel and the key. Keep the position down with the gimbal ring at the point A. Gyro case will keep turning until the spinning act of the gyro wheel is horizontal. Will know the further precision point of the gyro wheel will be spinning in the same direction applied with the forcing push. Here's another rule. Gyro always processes in the direction of the tangent line with itself with the rotor spin with the same direction that applied with the force of the triangle to turn it in the other words direction of the spin shape of the applied force when the direction applied spin applied force with the same direction precision stops. Now compare the spin axis Y. Now compare the spin x-axis to the two parts of figure 3.7 of view A with the spin axis vertical within this view B with the spin axis move with the vertical unit much closer than being horizontal, being applied with the right amount of the force of the right place. Whether we have moved the aiming of the spinning axis to the point with a specific fixed direction space where it went into. The property of the precision makes the property of the rigid unstable. Usable. You should understand the most force of the apply with the gyro mounting. Do not cover the precision in the instance. You can swing the force around with any direction motion will bear and taking up the Y and YZ axis. Similarly with the force applied with length along with the use one of the axis will have no effect with any force of the acting of the center gravity of the gyroscope that does not change the angle of the place of the rotation move of the gyroscope unit. The position of the spinning axis changes in the short surface of such force that is stated above. The operation of the center of gravity is force of the translation. In other words, the spinning gyroscope may be moved space, meaning support frame. Without distribution, plane rotation of the rotor, the condition exists for the rotor force with applied without the supporting frame of the acting with the center of the gravity produces no torque with the gyro rotor. Only these forces tend to the tilt the gyro wheel itself will cover the precision. Let's give it the further informative character of the gyroscope. Precision for the given amount of the force with the rate of precision of the gyro governed by the weight and shape of the speed of the rotor. These four active the same with the determine the rigidity of the gyro. Therefore, the define that relationship with the rigidity of the gyro rate with the given force will cover the process over the given greater.